Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Jamie Moraga, CEO of Franklin Revere and author of Revered, The Power of Female Leadership, and I have the honor of being the guest host of a special edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community podcast, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in its 20th year. We're live at the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial Annual Veterans Day celebration. The Spotlight on the Community podcast is brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, a company that has been supporting important causes in San Diego County for more than 6 decades. We are with Jim Wheyland, Mount Soledad Memorial Association, and the association's Veteran of the Year. That's huge.
That's
welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Jim, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, I'm just a few months shy of being a native San Diegan. I was actually born in Idaho because my dad's from Idaho.
Okay.
And they had a ranch up there, and my mom and dad were there working on the ranch, and I happened to be born when they did. And so that didn't work out, and I came back home because my mom was born in Julian.
Okay.
And
Beautiful.
So I grew up in Julian until I was 13, and then ended up going to Chula Vista for junior high school and high school.
Okay.
And then to Cal Poly. And in the process, I joined the Marine Corps in 1960 and ended up getting a commission in 62 and served for about 7 years. And so I met my wife in Chula Vista High School.
Oh, wow.
And
high school sweetheart?
Yeah, high school sweetheart.
Oh, my gosh.
Met her at a summer dance at the gymnasium there. And so we dated off and on for 10 years. And so she decided that 10 years was probably long enough. And I just got back from Vietnam, and as I tell her, I was in a weakened condition. And so we got married. We've been married 59 years now.
Wow, congratulations. So almost coming up on your 60th anniversary.
Yeah, coming up. You bet.
Wow, well, fantastic. Happy early anniversary. That's amazing. That's a huge milestone.
Yes, it is.
That's a huge milestone. So how did you get involved with the Mount Soledad Memorial Association?
Well, it's kind of a circuitous story, really.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, coming to La Jolla was kind of like going to L.A.
That's right, because you're in Chula Vista, so it's a little bit. It was a little bit of a drive.
Or Julian, and it was.
Oh, that's true.
And so it was just kind of, I've been here maybe one time.
Yeah.
And it was almost like you can't get there from here. And so in any event, I had a very good friend that I'd gone through boot camp with, and was a lifelong friend for 50 years, and he was a really interesting guy, but he had some idiosyncrasies.
Okay.
And one of which was that he never married, which was probably a good thing for society as a whole. And he didn't want a funeral.
Okay.
And was on a medical discharge from the Marine Corps because he had an issue with his pancreas.
Okay.
And so he lived for a good 10 years after he got out of the Marine Corps, but finally his pancreas killed him. And me and a fellow who was on the board of directors here, and then a civilian, were kind of shepherded him through his last year, last months really of his life. And then his brother came out from Pittsburgh, from Michigan, really, because he's a professor there at Michigan, and was with him when he died. And he and his wife were the only ones that were at his internment, and that was by his choice.
Yes.
But he always wanted to have a big reunion prior to, cashiering out. And that obviously never came to be. So anyway, John Anderson is the guy who was the connection with Mount Soledad,
Yeah.
suggested, well, why don't we put a plaque up
Okay.
for Schwartz? Dick Schwartz is his name.
Yeah.
And so that seemed like a good idea.
A good way to celebrate him and his life and service. Yeah.
And so we decided to do that. And then me being who I am, it dawned on me that perhaps it was going to be a little more costly than I wanted to spend.
You're right.
And so we said, well, why don't we see if anybody would like to help us do this?
Yeah.
And so we sent out an email saying that we're going to put up a plaque for Schwartz. And if you want to help us, go ahead and help us. And if we get more money than the cost of the plaque, we'll get a next larger size plaque.
Okay.
And if we get more money, we'll get a larger size plaque.
Right. So it'll just keep escalating up. Yeah.
And then if the off chance that we got more money, what we would do is we would give the balance to charity. Yeah. Or prorate it and send the prorate share back to the guys that sent it.
Yeah.
And so when it came to pass, we raised over $5,000.
Wow.
Which was more than adequate to put up the plaque. So we got the 16-inch plaque for him, and we also had a Veterans Honor ceremony, which we rented chairs for and had a really good turnout.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Probably about 75 people came.
Wow, that's amazing.
And we had his brother spoke, I spoke, and then John spoke. Covering the various parts of his life. And then General Neal spoke as well because they go back a long way.
Yeah.
And so that's how I happened to get here. And when going through the process, I thought, this would be a really interesting way to, spend my time. I just recently retired.
Yeah.
And it was just what I did. So I signed up, and I've been doing it since 2018.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell us about what is a typical day as being a docent? Like, what do you encounter? What do you do?
Well, I think there are typical days, but they're not typical events.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the interesting thing about it. Obviously, there's probably on balance, the bulk of the people come up here for the view.
Yes.
Because it's a spectacular view.
It is. It's a panoramic view. And
on a good day, you can see Mount San Gorgonio from here and Mount Baldy, and you can see Wheyland, Mexico. And on one occasion, I actually saw the Santa Monica Mountains.
Wow.
But that's one day in, 8 years? So that's not a very likely thing. And unfortunately, over probably the last 18 months, the views have really deteriorated because of a particulate matter in the atmosphere, and the days you just can't see as far.
Yeah.
But it's always unique to people to come here, and we're 23 miles from the Mexican frontier.
Yeah.
So you can look into Mexico, which is kind of neat. And of course, our peninsular range is spectacular, and particularly from people that are from the Midwest and where they don't have mountains, to find that the hills that they look at, that they think are so big, are really just the foothills.
Yes.
And I always like to point out to them that San Diego is unique because we have all but 3 of the world's climatic zones.
Yes.
In this county, rather.
Yeah.
We don't have Arctic, we don't have subarctic, and we don't have tropical. But we've got everything from there to the true desert, because the Great Sonoran Desert extends into our county.
Yes.
In the Colorado Desert. So anyway, it's a very unique setting for one thing, a very picturesque, and people. Yeah,
it's not a bad place to spend your time. Just being amongst all of the plaques and the pictures and the stories, and so tell us, do you get a lot of former veterans up here? Do you get a lot of visitors to the memorial that don't have a military connection? And how do you teach them as a docent or interact with them as a docent?
Well, we get all kinds, and then to your original question, what's a typical day?
Yeah,
there really are no typical days. But there are unusual events occur. And a typical day is we get tour buses, vans now in the modern era, but we used to get tour buses.
Yeah.
And we still do. We get organized tours from reunions that are being held, oftentimes military reunions or service organizations or just tourists that like it. We get a number of people come strictly for the view.
Yeah.
And then some that just wander up here. And it's usually a pretty steady flow. But when I say that there are unusual events, there are instances that are really highly moving, and some that are just interesting and quirky.
Yeah.
But there's what really makes the day.
Yeah.
And they run the gamut of people that come up here. In one instance, there was a lady that was absolutely nut.
Yeah.
And just very strange woman, and it was like she was possessed.
Oh no.
And it was really almost creepy. Well, it was creepy.
Yes.
On the other hand, we get people coming up here that come for their own personal comfort. They have nothing to do with the memorial other than this is a really remarkable place.
It is.
And whether it's the plaques, but the name Soledad, implies perhaps a precursor of why the memorial's here, because it was here. The name was here before the memorial was here. And Soledad in Spanish is one of those situational words that in context means a lot, because obviously the obvious translation is solitude.
Oh, yes.
But it's also a lady's name, and it's also has a connotation of memory and remembering. So
there's a lot of symbolism here.
Yes.
With the name itself, as the actual memorial where you have the living in the past. There are stories here too. I love that connection with the name. And
it's a remarkable place because it has such a history on its own.
Yes.
Because when the Great White Fleet toured the world under Teddy Roosevelt, people would come up here and watch it. And the gliders, the precursors of the fixed wing aircraft, Montgomery and all those guys. But anyway, this was a place that they would. No, I don't say that Montgomery did, but they used to fly gliders off of here, and then the little light aircraft, experimental aircraft.
Interesting.
They'd fly off of here.
So there's a lot of history here.
And of course, then there's the Native Americans. This was a very important place.
Well, that's fascinating. So it's living history, and the symbolism that's here is amazing. And then the view, and no day I'm sure is the same. You get something different every day as a docent, I'm sure.
No, it really is. And it's just a remarkable place. And people come up here, and it's a great way to introduce San Diego to visitors. And
yes.
I always kind of giggle, because if you live in San Diego, you end up being a tour guide if you moved here, because all your cousins, even though the ones that aren't really, you don't know if they're for sure if they're your cousins.
Right.
They still come to visit, and you can take them around, and this is a great place to introduce.
That's amazing.
The city to them.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you. But something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media. And our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
So, Veteran of the Year. So, tell us about you being named the Veteran of the Year, and what does that mean to you? You're being honored today. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Well, it's kind of an interesting deal, because I obviously never expected to be Veteran of the Year.
Yeah.
And I guess it's in some ways it's kind of for being here and showing up.
Yes.
So I'm very appreciative of it, because I do spend a lot of time here, and and it's happily spent, and it's nice to be recognized for sure.
I bet. So what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Well, Veterans Day is one of those days that is kind of awkward for me because being a Marine, Veterans Day is on the 11th.
Right.
Marine Corps birthday is the 10th.
Yes.
And so they two kind of run together. And so it's kind of a movable feast for the whole week. And so Veterans Day obviously is one of those days where I think not enough attention is paid to it. And the reason being that it's a day we recognize everyone who's served. Mm-hmm. And I can remember as a kid growing up in Julian on Veterans Day, they'd have a kind of a pickup parade. And I assume it was organized, probably the American Legion or somebody organized it, but it was really kind of an ad hoc group. And I remember very vividly going to that as a child and seeing the old veterans, because we still had Spanish-American War veterans in those days.
Yeah.
And, they'd wear their campaign hat and their riding breeches, and we had World War I, a lot of World War I vets, and certainly a preponderance of that was in World War II. I was a kid in World War II. So after World War II and then in Korea, we had a preponderance of guys that were recently back from the war. So it was very meaningful as a kid. Mm-hmm. So, it's just, it really emphasized that everybody served. And I don't know, most people may not know this, but in San Diego County, we have the largest number of Indian reservations mm-hmm. in the nation. And we had a much more dense population of Native Americans than we do now, because obviously time's passed and some of the reservations are actually not occupied now.
Right.
But in the old days, there was lots of everybody there, and it was a great lesson in democracy, because we also had a load of immigrants. We had a lot of Swiss, Italian Swiss up in the country, German Swiss. We had, of course, Julian was basically founded by Englishmen. And ironically, or settled by Englishmen. It wasn't founded by Englishmen, because a Confederate soldier founded Julian, which is a bit of a quirk of history.
Oh my gosh.
But it was also the town that had the most black people in San Diego County in the early censuses.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a really dichotomy of egalitarianism and America as a melting pot.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you see the memorial, how do we get more people up here that maybe live in San Diego County? How do we encourage them to come up here? And then how do you see the memorial evolving into the future?
Well, as you know, from the other people you've interviewed, we're basically down to about 500 plaque space.
Wow.
And so that's after an expansion of 2,000 plaques a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So it's become more visible, certainly. And people, when they do come here, there's frequently a motivation to have their family's plaque on it. And so that's hastened the development of the memorial. And so space is the issue.
Yes.
And we went through 27 years of turmoil over the presence of the cross.
Right.
And so that's left some hard feelings in the community. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, honestly, what the future of the memorial would be. In an ideal situation, this is one of the great spots in San Diego County, mm-hmm. and certainly on the coast. It would be an absolute delight to see it expand beyond its boundaries,
right,
and move out into the surrounding area, and it could be an absolutely gorgeous, world-class memorial.
Oh, absolutely. And then for encouraging other veterans in the community to come up and be a volunteer or a docent, do you have anything that you'd say to the community to participate in that respect as well?
Well, I think, you either like meeting people or you don't. And I would encourage veterans, depending on what their background is, oftentimes is a label that is difficult to define, because being a veteran obviously means you served.
Yeah.
And every veteran shares a certain baseline of common experience, and so that's kind of a community that you belong to, whether you want to or not. Mm-hmm. And then your application of how you live out that community is really dependent on the veteran itself. In my case, I raised a family and really wasn't very active in Veterans Affairs. I was always connected to the Marine Corps through my friends and buddies. But in terms of being an active participant in veterans organizations, I really wasn't.
Yeah.
I belonged to the VFW and the Marine Corps League and Marine Corps Engineers, but I really wasn't terribly active in them. And then as I grew older, and my kids, were older, you start thinking, and your life changes. And
Yeah.
you can become a little more reflective, and it becomes a little less hectic. You're not
a little more time.
Yeah, you're not racing around getting kids to baseball games and soccer games and whatnot. And so I think it's kind of a natural evolution, depending where you are. And if you're a veteran that has some issues, which everybody has issues, mm-hmm. but perhaps more severe issues, that casts another element on being a veteran. And then there's sometimes almost a feeling of them and us, or of isolation, and
mm-hmm.
It's just can be a very difficult road. And so we get a lot of vets that are going through divorces,
mm-hmm.
or going through issues, or just personal issues. Maybe they have some addiction problems or physical problems. And it's a great comfort to come here. I mean,
yes, there's a feeling, like you could just feel it. It's like a feeling very peaceful. I think you can be very reflective here.
Absolutely.
And then I think as you go through all the different plaques and you see all the different stories, there's that feeling of connection and relatability too, that maybe some veterans that are going through a tough time could find here and could be helpful.
And that's exactly where I was headed.
Yes.
That first of all, it's accepting, and you have something to offer. As a docent, you encounter situations where people were suicidal,
right,
or extremely depressed, or just going through
a really difficult time.
Or, for example, maybe a father's died.
Yes.
And which has happened to me on really 4 or 5 occasions, where the son is up here and really never knew his dad, and his
mm-hmm.
dad he never understood him because he was so different. And oftentimes that's because his dad was a Marine.
Right.
And I can speak from experience that you don't learn particularly good parenting skills in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
But you do learn how to get along in the Marine Corps. And so it's kind of a two-edged sword. There's much to be given to your children that way, but it's also much is taken away
mm-hmm.
because, they just don't snap to. But it's an interesting thing, and I think it's a very rewarding thing. And you end up being kind of a counselor here.
Yeah, you probably have to have a really good listening skills, and then be able to, like I said, you'd be able to give feedback and comfort at times.
Yeah.
And so you really have to wear many hats up here as a docent.
You certainly have to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the greatest gift that you learn as a docent. It's not, you don't bring it to you.
Yes.
I don't think. It's just that you experience it and grow from it. But you meet people in all states of mind, from all different, I've met people from 78 different countries.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And it's interesting to interact with them. I speak a little Spanish, so I do pretty well with people from Latin America. And it's fun to talk to them. In fact, one of my great triumphs really was that there was a guy biker guy showed up, and he was kind of scruffy like a lot of biker guys are. And so I always say I accost people, and I accosted him, when he came on the property, and, asked him how, greeted him and whatnot. And it turned out he didn't speak much English.
Yeah.
And it turned out that he was not the guy I thought he was at all. He was obviously a pretty wealthy guy, because he was about probably somewhere between 28 and 40, somewhere in that age bracket. And he was here. The bike wasn't his, it was his cousin's. He was on the last leg of his trip touring North America.
Yeah.
And he had family here, and he was returning to Mexico City the next day.
Okay.
But he'd been in Montreal and all around. And so it was kind of a interesting thing. And so the more we talked, the more it became really obvious that he was an educated guy and very curious. And so between our limited language skills,
yes.
we had a lengthy discussion, probably 20 minutes. And when he left, he says, "Well, this is so typically American." And so I was thinking of 1849, and
yeah.
Because, as you well know, in Mexico, it's the War of Incursion, not the Mexican-American War.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, there's no guy on a horse looking down at you." And I thought that perfectly summarizes this memorial.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure you're familiar with the tradition of the mounted horseman in virtually every community of any size in Mexico and much of the world, really. There's the guy on horseback.
Yes.
And if the horse is rearing, it means he was killed in battle.
Yeah, all the symbolism.
Yeah. It goes with that. If one leg's up, it means he was wounded, and then otherwise he was just a statesman or a good general or whatever it was. And so I thought that was absolutely profound, that was his takeaway from this memorial.
And just being here for 20 minutes as a visitor, yeah.
And it's the perfect explanation.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, our walls are randomly placed, the plaques on the wall. There's no hierarchy, that every veteran is treated as equals. Mm-hmm. Like we've got Dwight Eisenhower on the 5th row next to a sergeant. Yeah. And so it's really a great concept, and it's a marvelous place.
It is. And thank you for all of the time that you put into this being a docent. And obviously that's being recognized today as a Veteran of the Year, which is amazing at this celebration that we're going to be having shortly. And you obviously are a lover of history. Just hearing you talk and hearing you as having our conversation before the interview. So you are just a ambassador of the association to the community, and having people come up here and be welcomed by you and your fellow docents and volunteers just adds another special component to this living history and memorial and museum, really.
It's a very special place. It really is. I've had, excuse me, as I explained earlier, I woke up with kind of a frog in my throat.
Yeah, so. No worries.
But butterflies play an important role here.
Ooh, okay, so tell me about the butterflies.
Well, the first occasion with butterflies was there was a young man standing just right behind you, up the stairs a little bit, and he was obviously in deep thought.
Yes.
And so ultimately I ended up talking to him, and his mother died that day.
Okay.
So he was up here, just reflecting. And we don't, because this is kind of an isolated area on top of the hill and it's windy and whatnot, you don't get a lot of butterflies, but you do on certain times. But it's never a lot.
Yeah.
It's one or two.
Okay.
And so anyway, we were talking and having this discussion about his mom. And so in any event, a butterfly came and landed on him.
Oh, wow. And so he just felt like that connection.
Well, butterflies were his mother's thing.
Oh,
and gardening.
Gosh. Wow.
And I had a similar one where they were three people. It was a widow.
Yeah.
Her friend and then the husband's friend, and they were burying him in Miramar.
Okay.
And they were looking out over Miramar, and once again the butterflies showed up.
Yeah, I didn't realize that my flags were like...
Yeah, it's a very special, symbolic moment.
Yeah.
That just adds another aspect to the uniqueness of this place.
It's just, it's strangely coincidental.
Yes.
Because otherwise, there's not a lot of butterflies.
Yeah, I mean, you should know since you're up here so often. You know, and it's just something that's special that happens.
Yeah.
That's really. Thank you for sharing that story.
Anyway, it's a great place. It really is, and it's very easy to come to work.
I bet.
So
how often are you here? Are you here
I'm here every Friday?
Every Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the morning, basically, and then early afternoon.
Nice.
But no, it's just been a lot of fun to do.
I bet, and it's just unique because you're in a special location, surrounded by incredible stories, and then you get to meet people from the community and visitors and tourists and have conversations and, share in the uniqueness and beauty of the spot.
Yeah, there's one for everybody on the wall.
Yes, I agree.
And we've got a biker. We've got actually a couple of guys that started biker groups. One of which is, I forget the name of the boozers. But anyway, it grew out of World War II.
Yeah.
And so the members of this group, and there is a local part of that here, if they're within 50 miles, they have to come see the founder's plaque.
Okay.
And so that's always kind of fun because they're kind of their own individual group. And
yes.
It's just kind of, I think it's kind of the cherry on the cake, that everybody's here.
Yes. I think that you can come up here and you can find a story or a person or something to relate to.
Yeah. It's not a what am I trying to say? I'm groping for the word here. An elitist group. Right. It's really just the absolute opposite of that.
Yeah.
Because we have so many diverse people on the wall.
Yes.
And it's just a fun place.
Yeah, and it's a place that the community and visitors should come here as part of, especially if they're visiting San Diego, if they're going to the Midway Museum, add this spot up here.
Yeah.
You get an incredible view of San Diego, and then you get to see the stories and witness living history in action. So I think that anybody who's here in San Diego and who's visiting should definitely add Mount Soledad Memorial to their list to come up here.
The really important thing about this memorial is that it's about the individual veteran.
Yes.
And when you go to the walls, it's not a bunch of people who
Yeah.
They're people who probably have changed your life that you don't know.
Yes.
They might have been running a Remington typewriter in the rear of some warehouse in, Honolulu.
Yes.
And next to them might be a Medal of Honor recipient.
Yeah.
But they all did their part.
Yes. And getting us to where we are today and preserving our freedom.
Yeah.
Whether they've passed or they're currently living now. I think that's very special.
And it's one of that's a great point because you don't have to be dead to be on the wall.
I know. I think that's amazing that you can honor somebody who's still living now, and then they can see it and be a part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very, very special.
We had a case where a guy's dad was in a rest home in South Carolina, and he put a plaque up for him and then did a Zoom.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So his dad could see it, even though he couldn't come here himself physically. Oh, that's very meaningful.
Yeah, so it's just a great place.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for the conversation. And is there anything as we close out, is there anything that you wanted to share with the audience before we get you to the ceremony?
Well, I think, the main thing is come see it.
Yes.
Bring a lunch, and it's a great place to come, and it's a great place to volunteer as well.
Yes, we definitely want to encourage volunteerism. You've been a longstanding docent and volunteer here, now being recognized as a Veteran of the Year. Congratulations again. I can't wait to see you being honored in the celebration coming shortly. And want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community podcast. I'm Jamie Moraga. I'm sitting in for Drew. We hope that you enjoyed the interview. Jim Wheyland, thank you so much. Mount Soledad Memorial Association Veteran of the Year. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.